Welcome to the latest episode of The Independent. I'm Pete Sampson, joined as always by my co-host Matt Fortuna. Matt, we are recording on Thursday afternoon, so we're about 48 hours from halftime of the Big 12 championship game, which will be well watched around here. And I guess that would put us about 72 hours away from knowing whether Notre Dame made the playoff or not. So it seems like a rather short amount of time between now and the world potentially ending. But what did you think about the Notre Dame Alabama flip and the sort of what response to it from Marcus Freeman about it?
I wasn't surprised, and I don't put much into it. I felt like everyone was melting down, both in the Goog and Irish Nation, the fan base. Like everyone I talked to was like, "We're out of it, it's done," and I'm like, I don't.
Are we the only two optimists left?
I
Around
preface
here?
this to say I don't know anything, you don't know anything, no one knows anything when it comes to these committee. Like I'm not saying that facetiously. No one, they don't know.
Yeah.
So the idea of X plus Y equals Z doesn't exist. They make it up as they go along. But I just don't follow the logic of, well, now that they're behind Alabama, and if BYU wins, Miami's going to jump them. I don't follow that logic. Like, I get it. They're next to each other head to head. It's not nothing. I understand Miami fans' frustrations. I understand some of Notre Dame's angst, although, again, they've been up the whole time. I don't see any significant changes to any of this. And you mentioned halftime. I think by this time, 48 hours from now, I think that game will be over. I think Texas Tech's going to kill them, like they did the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not really blown away by the Notre Dame Alabama flip. I think maybe because I was surprised that they flipped to begin with a week earlier, or 2 weeks earlier. I don't think Alabama's necessarily playing great football right now. They're a really good team, but I think you should look at their last 4 games: Auburn, South Carolina. I think they had Eastern Illinois in there, and even LSU is what a train wreck that is. You should be able to beat them more than, I think it was 20-9. So Notre Dame's definitely playing better. Alabama has better wins and a much better schedule. So I think I guess I came away from Tuesday night, and if you're going to believe Hunter Yurachek, which you probably shouldn't, but if you did, just the notion that he said that the Notre Dame-Alabama debate was one of the kind of most split or heated, basically that there are people in that committee that think Notre Dame should be ahead of Alabama, and there are people on that committee that think Alabama should be ahead of Notre Dame, and just a couple people changed their minds, and now Notre Dame's behind Alabama. I've never heard Notre Dame and Miami described in similar terms. Not once. And so if the overwhelming majority of the committee thinks Notre Dame should be ahead of Miami today, and neither team plays on Saturday, I don't feel like there's this trap door. I mean, there could be a trap door, but I don't feel like the committee is setting up this trap door for Notre Dame to walk into Saturday evening. So I'm not of the mindset that Notre Dame is screwed regardless this weekend based on the results. I mean, there's 2 games that matter to Notre Dame: SEC and Big 12. So so it means there's 4 scenarios. You tell me, how does this work out for Notre Dame? BYU and Alabama wins, Notre Dame's out.
Yeah,
no shot. Texas Tech and Georgia wins, I think Notre Dame is in for sure. Every conference championship game loser last year dropped a spot in the final poll. Some dropped 2 spots. So if Alabama lost and didn't move, that would be unprecedented. I don't think that's happening.
I wouldn't go as far as saying unprecedented, because we just have 1 year of body of work. And in SMU's case, for example, they lost to a not unranked, but a off the radar Clemson team.
They dropped 2 spots.
As they should have. I mean, they lost to a team they were supposed to beat. I think Georgia's favored this week.
Georgia is Alabama,
and they're ranked ahead of them. So the committee, and again, they box themselves, or they try not to box themselves in, but they do. Well, Vanderbilt has no real good wins. Well, they beat the living hell out of Tennessee, who ranked last week. That's got to count for something. If Georgia
count for more than beating Auburn.
Yeah, right. if Georgia beats Alabama, who they're favored against and ranked ahead of, and the game's in Atlanta, like if it's not a blowout, if it's a competitive game, I don't know how you could be like, well, we got to knock Alabama. They just lost to Georgia. Like, no, losing to Georgia shouldn't hurt you the same way, uh, Tech, well, not Tech, BYU is a bad example, but Ohio State, Indiana, right? Like, again, unless it's a blowout, those teams are getting buys. Hell, they might still be 1-2 at the end of the day on Sunday. So their logic with a lot of that is just really, really hard to follow. I will say I was looking up the odds before the rankings on Tuesday night. Miami was anywhere between plus 600 to plus 800 to make the playoff. On DraftKings now, they are plus 400. But Notre Dame's minus 425. Notre Dame, among teams you can bet on, is the second best odds behind Alabama, minus 1,800 to make the playoff. And again, there's no algorithm you can like point to for this. So I don't trust the sports books on this the way I would a game line as far as having a more accurate representation of what will happen. But I just don't see why it would change. And like, again, like Miami fans, I hear you. I'm not being dismissive. Like, I think they have every right to argue for their team, but it's not like unprecedented. I mean, 08, Texas beats Oklahoma, loses to Texas Tech on the Michael Crabtree play on the final play of the game. They're both 11-1. Oklahoma goes to the BCS title game. Texas doesn't, even though Texas beat them. And that's in the same conference. And I know Oklahoma beat the hell out of everybody that year except for Texas. But still, like, it's happened. It's happened before. It'll happen again. I don't think it's the end all be all. Well, I don't want to be dismissive of it. I just don't see what could possibly change from then to now, from every single ranking they've revealed to now. Again, I could be wrong because 14 might be a better example, right? Of TCU's 3, they win by 52 points, I think, over Iowa State. They're 6 behind a Baylor team that beat them head to head, who they were up above all year with the same record in the same conference, despite Baylor winning. And both of them got left out, as frankly, I think both should have. Ohio State clearly was the best team that year. But there is precedence for all of this. And I just don't see what would change. I guess I get the anxiety in the sense of it's out of your control, but that's life. Like I just hope BYU doesn't win, which I don't think they will.
I would like Hunter Yurosek to come out and just be like, "That's life." Sorry,
he said 6-7 already. So
God, it's so bad. So that I think there are two clear. There's one clear in and one clear out for Notre Dame. The question marks I would have: BYU wins and Georgia wins. Would Notre Dame get ahead of Alabama in a way that would bump Alabama out of the field entirely? I have a hard time seeing that.
It would have to be a blowout.
In the fourth scenario is Texas Tech wins, Alabama wins. Notre Dame is stuck at 10, but because BYU lost, they move down. This is the
direct
Notre Dame Miami. Now we can finally compare them after having no way to hold Team A against Team B all year. I mean, how are they supposed to come up with a way to see who's better? But then suddenly Miami and Notre Dame are next to each other. That's the most stressful Sunday at noon you could have right there is Texas Tech winning and Alabama winning if you're a Notre Dame fan. Not even close.
Which is a very distinct possibility. Texas Tech will win. I'll be shocked if they don't. Alabama beat Georgia once on the road. We'll see what happens this time. It should be a good game. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what you want to avoid if you're Notre Dame. But again, the excuse early on for having them so far apart from the committee was, well, we evaluate them in pods. Well, Utah dropped out of that pod 9 through 12, not this week, last week. Therefore, Miami and Notre Dame were in that pod together and therefore comparable in theory.
And yet they were compared and Notre Dame was still better.
Exactly. So I don't see what changes. And again, they make it up as they go along. Your colleague Bruce Feldman got awful announcing this week for his out of character tweet on.
It was definitely happening. A tweet. They were like, was that a DM?
No, a couple people sent me it. It's like, is this Bruce? I'm like, really? I think it is.
Bruce, what are your kids hacked onto your Twitter account?
Yeah. I fail to see the logic in dropping Notre Dame out at this point. Not to say it can't happen, but there's zero indication to me that like it's likely short of Texas Tech losing.
I'm with you on that. It is, as Bruce wrote, with expletives removed, it feels very made up every week.
Mhm.
But I mean, this is not a new phenomenon either.
No.
Like it was made up last year and the year before and the year before that. And you're just like, what are you guys talking about? This year I did think was worse because they got way more specific about things they didn't know anything about, like whether it be Alabama's run game or CJ Carr's deep ball. And I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like it seemed like there was such a we watch football just like you vibes that like they really wanted to prove their bona fides to the average fan of like, we know players on these teams. And it just made them end up looking like, frankly, jackasses.
By the way, as you're saying this, a Twitter notification: Bruce Feldman going on the herd right now, joining Colin Cowherd to talk about my column on the mind-numbing CFP. Do not leave the Independent for Bruce. I love Bruce. You can listen to him later. If you're here now live, stay with us. But I do think,
does that count as an independent bump for Bruce?
if Miami gets in, it might indirectly.
Yeah. The flip side of that is like Ari Wasserman has come on the show. This would be a reverse bump where he got community noted on Twitter.
Did he? I didn't see that
because he tweeted, it's like, you could pick 15 national writers and they all would say Miami should go ahead of Notre Dame. And then someone was like, they have the AP poll for that, and Notre Dame's ahead of Miami in the AP poll. So I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I saw Ari in Ann Arbor. He was like, "Yeah, your boys are really, really fond of me right now."
That will be, yeah. At some point, we'll do a surprise guest. We won't even announce it at the beginning of the show. He'll just pop on, and then like our listenership will drop off. I love Ari. I told him I want to give him a hug at the Rose Bowl when Notre Dame plays Ohio State, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Great week to have him on. This is not, well, two things. One, what's interesting to me is your description of how they have presented the way they're viewing the games and the data, as football guys. The irony of that is like Miami and Notre Dame, I think, are both good enough to win national championships this year, and Oklahoma is not. And I think Alabama on their best day is, but we haven't seen enough of their best days. Like I would feel much more comfortable putting my money on Miami or Notre Dame to go all the way if they were in the field than I would Oklahoma or Alabama. But the problem for both of them is the resumes, from a statistical standpoint, are just not great in comparison. Like Oklahoma's resume, say what you want about them, they keep winning and they deserve credit for that. I know Sagarin is not everything. They have Notre Dame as the second best team in the country right now behind Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I think S&P Plus still has Notre Dame at 5, and I think FEI has Notre Dame at 4. I really should have that in front of me as we do this podcast, and I will Google it while you start talking again, Matt. But it just is not. There hasn't been a lot where you're like, well, I could. This idea that they're so similar that they're actually side by side. I have yet to see a single metric have Miami ahead of Notre Dame.
Sagarin has Miami at 6. It's obviously not ahead of Notre Dame, but it's also like, yeah, they're really freaking good and probably should be in this thing too. They have Penn State at 14 at 6-6. They have Oklahoma at 13 at 10-2. And I'm not a numbers guy in case you guys haven't figured this all out by now, but it is interesting. I'd like to know their math in the sense of like Notre Dame against the top 10, 0-2, schedule strength 32 versus the top 30, 2-2, and you see all these teams grouped near them much, much better. Alabama among them, 7-1 against top 30 teams with the number 8 schedule strength. So I don't know like all the data that goes into it. I do know Sagarin's kind of I don't know what the committee's using. They don't tell us, but that's kind of like the default schedule strength metric. I feel like a lot of people ultimately look at. But yeah, they think Notre Dame's second best team in the country right now. And hey, there have been times in the second half of the year where they've certainly looked like that. We'll see. Yeah,
I was just going to say, I don't know if you saw, I think we were tweeting or texting about the Big 12's tweet with BYU where they misspelled conference. as they were saying, BYU was playing in a conference game. But like, what was weird about that one, and the ACC is running into this too, is like they cite FPI, which nobody. You worked at ESPN, nobody knows what it means.
No.
But like, let's just pretend like it's a good ranking system, and they cite FPI as, well, we were 4-1 against the top 30 in FPI, and Notre Dame was only 1-2. And then you go on FPI, I'd be like, well, I wonder where Notre Dame's ranked in FPI. They're ranked 3rd. Miami is ranked 7th. BYU is ranked 15th. Four slots below USC.
All right, BYU's 20th in Sagarin, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Missouri's 19 too. I mean, they're all flawed in their own ways, but
yeah, it's just like, I think this is one of the downsides of like unlimited data is if you keep looking long enough and like adjust the top 30. Well, now I'm going to do top 20. You're like, well, maybe I'll do top 12. I'm going to do top 47.
Clemson's 25. It's 7-5.
If you just sort of slide that around, because I think that's what BYU did, and they did like top 30 or something, or maybe I think that was what Miami did. So it would be a catch-all of like Pittsburgh and a couple other ACC teams. You're like, or Florida State, like, okay, we're going to count Florida State as a quality win. Yeah, that sounds awesome. So yeah, there's so much data that then you can there's so much data to manipulate, and if you do it long enough, you might not spell check the word conference, but you can find something that looks good in a graphic.
Did the ACC misspell Reuben and Reuben Bain as well?
Yeah, I mean, what? Like, come on, guys, what are we doing here?
As long as I have this tab open and we're talking about it. Any guess the Sagarin rankings of Virginia and Duke, the two teams playing for the ACC championship?
I'd say Virginia is 33rd and Duke is 50th.
34th for Virginia.
Hey,
45th for Duke.
Okay, I was pretty close on that. Yeah. Where's James Madison?
They're above both of them. They are at 28th.
Yeah, I'm not sure what level of comeuppance the ACC would receive if Notre Dame made it over Miami, but then James Madison and North Texas made it over Duke, and the ACC was left out entirely.
I don't think that, like,
you think the community would be like, Duke's 25.
I root for chaos, and therefore it would be funny and cool to see that happen as a neutral observer. I really don't think it's going to happen if Duke wins. Again, I could be wrong, but I just have a hard time seeing the ACC champion and like the raw data points of schedule and all that. Again, I could be wrong. James Madison, I'd rather see. I think it's a cooler story, and not that either one of them is going to win a national championship this year, but I think James Madison has earned the right to do it more than Duke has.
Duke, which lost to Tulane and Connecticut, fellow independent Connecticut.
Connecticut needs a coach.
Yeah.
Bring back Bob Diaco.
Maybe Brian Kelly. I mean, Brian Kelly's a Northeast guy. You think he'd take on that challenge?
That one out there. I was told that ain't happening, but yeah, that would have been funny.
That would have been good.
Brian Kelly, Gino Auriemma, and Danny Hurley all on one campus.
Oh, that would be excellent. That'd be excellent. I don't know if we have a whole lot of questions to get to on a Thursday afternoon. I'll let you.
We got
open, we'll open that tab. Before we do that, Roback.com. If you didn't take advantage of their Black Friday extended sale, you can still use promo code Irish for 20% off your first order for hoodies, polos, quarter zips, joggers, shorts, tees, everything you need for an active lifestyle. I've got my Roback on right now. It's awesome. Excellent podcasting uniform. Go to Roback.com, RHOBACK.com, promo code Irish for 20% off your first order.
Thanks to our friends at Home Run In Pizza. Pete, at the end of a full day of college football where I forgot to eat because I'm watching every game and covering them too, I could house an entire Home Run In Pizza all by myself. Grab it out of the freezer, and in no time, I catch up on what I should have been eating during halftime.
Love Home Run In Pizza. As you guys know, I got kids and youth sports all over northern Indiana. It makes for an easy dinner, a healthy dinner, home run and pizza. Friend of the pod, friend of my freezer.
Like to also thank our friends at Obvious Shirts, OBVIOUSSHIRTS.com. Friend of the pod, great pod merchandise, t-shirts, quarter zips, hoodies, crew necks, and much more. Look for hopefully a playoff line to drop here in the next week or so. Thank you to our friends at Obvious Shirts.
I was just going to say, if Notre Dame doesn't make the playoff,
we still do
how quickly can we get a 1993 national champs shirt made on Obvious Shirts?
Probably very quickly. That one seems pretty easy.
Okay. Let's hopefully not do that, but if we have to do it, I think that we should.
I mean, what if A&M wins it all? Well, no, A&M beat Notre Dame. I'm trying to think. There's no opponent they could have beaten that would win it all this year, because then you could make the 2025 national champs shirt. But we'll see. It's not a perfect system. I'm pro expansion for selfish. I like watching more football games reason. I'm anti-expansion for we really need it to determine who the best team is, because 12 isn't enough. Especially if you're giving those spots to group of 5 and ACC teams. We'll see how that ultimately.
Should we start calling it group of 6, but include the ACC in it?
Pac-12's back next year, so they could come back up and move up in the world. Let's go to Brendan Go 6594. Let's give Irish Nation some good vibes today, fellas, please. I think we did that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, look, you got National Signing Day. There's plenty of good vibes for that. I know we don't do a lot of the recruiting coverage on this podcast, but Notre Dame signed either the 2nd or 3rd rated class in the country, depending on where you look. That's the highest of the internet recruiting rankings era. 2013 was a top 5 class. I think 2006 and 2007 were elite classes as well. I don't think either of them had like the depth top to bottom that this one does. And it may add quarterback Teddy Gerard, who's a junior from the North Georgia area. He may reclassification. There's some reporting out there from, I think, On3 and Rivals about that, maybe some 24/7 as well. But they signed 4 5-stars in the 24/7 Sports Composite. They had signed 4 24/7 Sports Composite 5-stars in the previous 10 years combined. So that is a big step in the right direction. I know, Matt, we both talked to many people in the Notre Dame recruiting office over the years who said, well, you can't sign 5-star guys. They're not fits for Notre Dame. And like,
we can't legally pay them yet.
You got to do a better job evaluating, because you're not going to be able to sign these forget 5-star DBs. That's ridiculous. They all want to play at LSU. I think this is definitely like a Mythbusters class for Marcus Freeman. And there have been times, I think, in the first 3 years where I was like, I kind of thought recruiting would maybe be going better. Like, it's better than when BK was doing it, but it wasn't like great. This was great. This was a great class. And I think of the 27 guys signed, 24 of them are going to do early enrollment, which makes spring practice actually interesting. So that will be kind of a fun component of it too, from a kind of a day-to-day beat reporting aspect. But I mean, they killed it. They killed it at every position. I mean, I think quarterback felt a little bit light, but 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, I think 6 offensive linemen. The D-line was great. DBs are like off the charts good. So credit to Marcus Freeman, GM Mike Martin, and that entire recruiting operation for pulling this one together.
I had to comment up just because you were talking. There wasn't really a question there, but Josh Scoresby, pretty cool to see his class sign with 0 decommitments. The momentum for this program is real. Just in time for Freeman to go coach the Giants.
God, vibe killer there. I think they were the only Power 4 team without a decommitment. And I wrote this sort of in my final thoughts. Like, decommitments are not like inherently bad. Sometimes a decommitment is a guy you reached on and you just couldn't quite get him to feel comfortable in Northern Indiana. But I don't think that going after Deuce Knight or Keon Keeley or Peyton Bowen was a mistake just because they decommitted. Sometimes decommitments are like you took a guy early and you had a bad eval. And then you were like, I'm going to swallow hard and we're going to talk to this kid about how maybe Notre Dame's not the right place to be. Those are not necessarily bad decommitments either, but I think that having none this class speaks to really good scouting at the top in terms of personality fits, whether it be Joey Bryan or Rodney Dunham, Kari Adams, Ian Premer is the 4th 5-star guys. Like all those guys are very easy fits for Notre Dame. And then they did a much better job of on their early takes of them not having kind of buyer's remorse, so to speak, on them. So overall, like that's, whether it's Matt Jansen, who's in scouting, or Anthony Tresh, who does some stuff, obviously Mike Martin and that entire recruiting operation, that's sort of the scouting evaluation components for this cycle were very, very, very good.
Before we get to our next question, I want to also thank our friends at DraftKings. Conference titles, playoff hopes, Heisman statements, everything's on the line. A single loss or bad performance can end it all. No one gets you closer to the college football action than DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code INDEPENDENT. That's code INDEPENDENT to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. A lot of
while we're doing this podcast, I just got the email from the College Football Playoff Committee with their final media advisory on Sunday. So
explain yourself.
Yeah,
that you can't.
Yeah, if you're curious, the show starts at noon Eastern. I'm sure by 12:15 we'll know whether Notre Dame made it or not. But yeah, that's that. We should probably come back with a Sunday night show, right? Like that's.
Oh, we got to go live.
That's a therapy session,
regardless of what happens. Preview the matchup or session. Drink.
It's not too early at noon.
Well,
it'll be brunch time for us.
The new Leprechaun will be put to good use.
Oh God. Thanks for reminding me.
John Van's 444. We are cooked. I knew it when we dropped our second game, but seeing how good this team is now, it's unbelievably frustrating. We will more than likely be playing in a meaningless bowl game.
I would say it's more than likely.
But bowl is not meaningless. Go on.
Yeah, but look, whenever you can eat a life-size Pop-Tart, I think you have to do it. That would be a very, no pun intended, a very difficult way to stomach this season. It's like you go from holy crap, this team has the material to win it all to do I want the s'mores or the strawberry swirl Pop-Tart? And God knows, like it would be such a gut punch from an opt-out standpoint. Like I don't know.
That's the next question here, but
yeah, go for it.
Andrew Buchanan, 2215. So if Notre Dame misses the playoff, how many players are opting out of the bowl game?
I mean, a lot, right? And I don't know if anyone's going to one. You got Jeremiyah Love, Jadarian Price. Okay, that makes sense. Like, is Malachi Fields going to play in that bowl game? I don't know.
We live in a world where Sam Hartman was too cool for the Sun Bowl and he didn't even get drafted. So I think anything's fair game. And that was the one and only time
as well.
That was the one and only time I think we saw Marcus Freeman look genuinely annoyed by a player in front of a microphone, and he wouldn't say it, but you could tell.
Yeah,
when he was like, "Ask Sam."
Yes, that's true. That was the exception for Marcus Freeman. But yeah, it's just like I wouldn't blame anybody who opted out, whether you think you're going to get drafted or not, just because you're you would feel it would be hard to get this esprit de corps camaraderie thing going over all right, we got screwed, let's just go out there one more time and play for each other and then eat that huge Pop-Tart. I think it's a tough motivational speech for Marcus Freeman to give in a team meeting on Sunday night.
My only word of advice or hope and I don't think this would be the case with Notre Dame. But I guess this happened last year in the Pop-Tarts Bowl with Miami. If you're going to play 4 quarters. Don't just disappear at halftime and not explain it.
So that's interesting. I did think about that this week because like Jeremiyah Love is still a little bit short of the rushing record.
Okay, so let me rephrase. If you want to leave him in to get the record, and we've seen this but we've seen that at other places. What I'm talking about is what Cam Ward just disappears literally after halftime. No
goes to the locker room, doesn't come back
His
out.
team loses, and they don't explain why. Like that to me, and I wrote a column on it, and half people said it was great, half people said I was racist and blah blah blah. But like, no, like if you're watching a game and a player magically does not keep playing and he's not hurt, and they don't tell you what, like you have the right to ask the question or like be frustrated. If you're watching that game with your uncle during Christmas break, he sure as hell had a lot to say. And we're doing a disservice as a media to completely ignore that fan in college football.
Yeah, I don't even remember what happened with Cam Ward. Like
he played the first half, did not play.
No, I remember that, but like, was there a record that he reached?
Yeah. He set a touchdown pass record that everyone thought Dylan Gabriel would break a few days later in the Rose Bowl. He didn't, but but they never said anything. Like the broadcast didn't say anything. Mario didn't say anything. Cam didn't speak, and they lose the game by 1 point. And the backup was they were terrible on offense without him. Absolutely terrible. It was like a post Heisman argument, if you will.
Who did they lose to?
Iowa State.
Yes. Matt Campbell. I mean, sometimes he delivers in Orlando Bowl games.
Who would they play in this one? I haven't looked at the bowl projections because it hasn't been of like. I'm just hoping there's a Penn State Virginia Tech bowl.
Still a Big 12 game, which sucks because I mean, if you could get like somehow a Notre Dame Texas bowl game, I'd be like, all right, I'd watch the hell out of CJ Carver's Arch Manning.
But Stark would just opt out because why would you play tough teams?
You don't get any credit for it. So, I mean, it's like I was disappointed that Texas went that route because it feels very USC to me, and I thought more of Texas than that.
Well, where was Sark before?
Now that you say that out loud, it's a good point. Maybe that's just kind of once that's in your blood, can't get it out.
Steve Blackisson, 7225. As a 2-time University of Arkansas graduate, Hunter Rydichek, his name's Yurichek, is really starting to piss me off on a weekly basis. Boy, the arc independent of the playoff. I'd like to hear your thoughts on their hire, Ryan Silverfield. There were some very graphic but funny memes going around about the Arkansas fan base, like January 6 reenactments outside the stadium. It was the 6-7 meme that Hunter did.
Yeah.
On CFP that was going around with how many coaches turned me down,
or whatever. I guess they would aspire to be 6 and 7 next year.
That too. It's not been pretty times in Fayetteville throughout this whole season.
No.
And yet he's better than Mac Rhodes was.
At least, I was just going to say, at least they didn't promote Bobby Petrino, but that
too. Andrew Buchanan, 2215. When the BCS was scraped, all the noise was about how it would eliminate the need for style points. Well, here we are in the CFP, and because Notre Dame didn't score 1 or 2 more touchdowns, they might be out. I mean, there's always going to be a need for style points.
I do wish, like, this is one thing the committee could have said to clear up, like, hey, Miami, we don't give a crap that you scored at the end of the Pitt game or the Virginia Tech game. Notre Dame, we don't care that
Syracuse.
Yeah, I was going to say Syracuse or the Syracuse scored or Pitt scored or Stanford scored. Like it just doesn't matter. And that would have been such an easy thing to explain for the committee, and they dropped the ball on that among other things. But like if you don't want to like get into like your proprietary rankings because you think that they're so special, fine. Let's do whatever. But I mean, I think it's in the language that beyond 24 points, the margin of victory doesn't really matter. And I think they could take that a step further and be like, if you're up 20 in the final 2 minutes, stop throwing. Like you look like an idiot. Like we'll actually ding you for being a moron. But they don't see it that way for reasons that are completely beyond my grasp.
They I don't know if that's in language or not. I do know they specifically cited 70-7 last week in
Yeah,
regards to Notre Dame.
why do you even bring that up?
Right. I don't know. Steve Blackiston again. Just bring back the computers. Every week, this committee paints themselves into a smaller and smaller corner. I'm fine with computers. The problem for me wasn't computers. It was two teams. But I'm fine with computers. For the I don't know. I do think there was like what happens on the field has to matter. Like you can't, as much as the computers may hate Oklahoma, you got to be like, all right, attaboy, you guys keep proving us wrong. Like you're in. BYU too, for that matter.
Yeah, you got to at least explain why the computers are the way that they are, and like nobody does a very good job of that, which is baffling to me. I was like, before we get into more questions, this one is let's say we have the worst possible scenario on Sunday. Notre Dame doesn't make it. Let's say BYU doesn't make it. Like they just flip Notre Dame and Miami at the end. Alabama loses but doesn't drop. Like just a lot of like even more angstiness than usual. Would you use any of that as evidence of like why the playoffs should expand to 16 or 14 teams?
No.
Okay.
Would you?
I think this is a unique year where like Notre Dame and Miami actually are like title contenders in the 10, 11, 12 spots. I don't think that's true most years. So I think that's a bit unique. I would say I would much rather see BYU, Notre Dame, Miami. Like I don't really need to see Texas in the playoff. I would love to see Vanderbilt. I'd like to see that team get a shot. In a 16-team field where, James Madison is the 16 seed or North Texas is the 16. I guess maybe even the ACC champ would make it at that point. But, I wouldn't expand access to any more leagues or the group of 5 or group of 4. But this year would have been a good year for a 16-team field. Not every year would.
Right.
I will say another thing, and I wrote this already, like whatever happens, no matter how ridiculous Sunday is for Notre Dame, do not use it as we should join a conference. Do not entertain that argument. Do not listen to anyone who says it. Do not take anyone who says it seriously because it has absolutely nothing to do with that.
I think it has nothing to do with it. I think every year is different. Like last year, the bubble teams, we're talking about 3 9-3 teams that didn't get in. Who cares?
Yeah, last year was not a year where I wanted to see 16 teams.
Miami and or Notre Dame being out this year would stink for the football fan who wants to see great football teams play for a championship. But again, that could change next year. Hopefully, for everybody's sake, the ACC goes back to the drawing board and changes their tiebreakers. And
oh my God,
Miami's in the ACC title game this year, and we're not having this discussion.
Such fools! Yeah.
But that's what happens in mega conferences. Like there are a million reasons I don't like the Big Ten's proposal for like 4 automatic bids per league, and that the league should determine how they send their own teams to the playoff. But chief among them is you've got 18 team super conferences right now that play imbalanced schedules within their own leagues. Texas is out. I'm not sympathetic to Texas, but I will say, like, how does the University of Texas not have a home SEC game until November 1st? Like that does not make sense. Now, and part of it's the Oklahoma game because of where it is on the calendar. Still, it's crazy to think that didn't happen until November 1st. And again, I don't think they deserve to even be in the argument for a playoff right now. But just the imbalance across those big conferences does not make sense. And yeah, I don't think, if anything, whether they're in or not, like, and I know a lot of people obviously who like Notre Dame, like most ones I talk to will be pissed that they're out, but they're like, look, this is the bed we make for ourselves when we start 0-2.
Right.
Like most teams that start 0-2 are not getting any benefit of the doubt, period. Especially, let's be honest, with the teams Notre Dame beat, which outside of USC and I guess Navy was a whole bunch of nobodies this year.
Yeah, it was a really bad schedule. Like I'm surprised Notre Dame's schedule strength is as good as it is.
I thought it would be better at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that's fair.
but it hasn't worked out that way. But no, I don't think it's. I think the fact like they're comfortably air quotes in and have been through every week is proof of like why would you join a conference? Like
Yeah.
you can lose to those two teams and not be penalized for it.
Yeah. The year after making it all the way to the championship game and pocketing a full $20 million. Like,
And this year they are eligible for a bye as they are
Yeah.
moving forward.
yeah, it's just like this is Notre Dame pays a tax to be independent. This is part of that tax. They're willing to pay it, and they should keep paying it because it makes a lot of sense.
The tax is getting, again, air quotes, roasted by the conference Twitter account.
Yeah.
Like I don't really see any downsides other than that.
Yeah, that seems to be just fine, I think.
I'm putting this in here in case you saw it. I did not. Jim Myman, any thoughts on the comments by Bill Cowher on NFL Today panel on Sunday? Began as an anti-Kiffin rant, devolved into college football is hopelessly wrong. The NFL does everything the right way.
Ooh, I think I saw Cower on Lane Kiffin, which like all rants are inbounds on Lane Kiffin at this point. I mean, I get why he left. I think his behavior and leaving, while there's no good way to like change jobs, there are worse ways to do it, and he chose the worst of the worst ways. So should college football be more like the NFL? No. I mean, I think we've said this a bunch on the show. Like, the ridiculousness of college football is really one of its great highlights. Like, think of the just bizarre crap that goes on in college football. Like, just sideline turnover props alone. Just that. If you just took that and be like, wow, what a sport.
7-year-olds flipping off Lane Kiffin's flight on the way out of Oxford.
Yeah. I mean, there's not another sport like this, which is probably healthy for everybody. So I don't want it to be more like the NFL. I want it to be ridiculously petty, where conference Twitter accounts don't use spell check and then try to like boom roast you. It's keep doing that. I don't know. It just, the pageantry of college football is not just like the band anymore. And I love that pageantry of college football. I would not want it to feel like the NFL, which just is corporations versus corporations. Could college football be better? Yes.
Calendar needs fixing more than anything.
Yes. God, it's so bad.
Coach, it should not be, and this is not a defense of Lane Kiffin at all, but coaches should not be in that position where they literally need to abandon one championship team to win future ones.
I mean, does it not? I know it's not simple, but does it not seem obvious that the college football playoff should have started last weekend, and it should end on January 1st?
Yeah,
and the national title game should be in the Rose Bowl every year.
Dan Lanning
and then the portal opens, and signing days after that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Dan Lanning, others have said this. Like, why do we have a huge layoff from the regular season till the bowl's a playoff? Why can't we have everything done by January 1st? Take back New Year's Day, the way it was for most people growing up with college football, and get everything in order. I just think it's fair to everyone. I think it makes the most sense. These guys are smart. They can figure this stuff out. That's the way it should be. I completely agree. As someone who also recently took up yoga, I wouldn't say it's life-changing and I'm a different new person. I do like it. But Lane Kiffin was obviously full of it when he kept saying that. And I don't know, did you see the TikTok stuff going around? Bunch of women from his yoga studio were all posting about, thank God he's gone. We're done with him checking out.
Yeah. I was devastated by the Juice Kiffin revelations that was not actually his dog.
I know
that hurt my heart a little bit as a dog person.
Money on Santa doesn't exist.
Like you just can't do that. Like that's like, I mean, think about the people LSU has hired. Like
they hired 2 straight coaches who left teams in the middle of championship pursuits.
Yeah.
2 straight coaches who do not recruit. And if Lane Kiffin does not land Ed Ogeron as his defense line coach, and I think he will, he's going to have a problem on his hands. But I will also say LSU and Notre Dame, maybe more than any other 2 blue bloods in the country, the recruits always go there, and they always go there for the school, not for the coach.
Yeah. I mean, for for different reasons. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
No one decommitted from either of Brian Kelly's last two schools when he left.
Yes. Unlike Penn State. Yeah, that'll be a different recruiting show from Audrey and
John Sauber.
John. Yeah, that's a tough situation there. But yeah, just the calendar needs fixing. It shouldn't be that hard. I know that college football is going to make it hard, but just come on. Let's figure out a better way to do this. It's not good for the sport.
Speaking of calendar, you see what ESPN reported about Vanderbilt today in their attempt? They said they explored possibilities for playing someone on neutral site this weekend to have a 13th game.
And I know who they could play.
Yeah. No, a couple teams they could play.
Let's do it. I mean, just have this impromptu play-in weekend of who else would be? Could you want to throw Texas in there? Who's the other team?
No, Texas had their chance. These teams are too good for Texas. Why would they play another good team?
Oh, true.
Notre Dame, Miami,
Vanderbilt.
Throw Utah in there if you want.
Okay.
You need 4.
Fine.
That'd be fun. And
it's a doubleheader. Play Saturday and then the winners play Sunday. I mean,
not only do you get the extra data point in the case of Jeremiyah Love and Diego Pavia, you get an extra Heisman showcase as well.
Hey, I like it.
We've not talked at all about that, probably because he has nothing left to do. But Jeremiyah Love, what's he rooting for this weekend?
I think Ohio State beats Indiana 3-0. That's it. But I think if that happened, then Diego Pavia would be the ultimate beneficiary of that, not Jeremiyah Love.
The Pavia money has been coming in a very surprising way. He was co-favorite at one book midweek this week with Fernando Mendoza. I don't think it's as simple as Mendoza versus saying winner gets it. I don't think Love's winning, which is too bad, especially because he got hurt in the last game, even though he came back, but he missed the opportunity to stat pad or add to his highlight reel. I think there are 5 guys for 4 spots, the 5th being Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech, and you better hope he doesn't have like a pick 6 or some defining play at BYU. Because short of saying throwing like 3 picks, he's thrown 4 all year, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be some combination of Mendoza, saying Pavia, and I think Love. 4 go to New York.
Yeah, and it's like I don't see any reason why you can't bring 5. Like it just
they only made that a thing recently. Like they've had as many as like 6, I think, there before, and they've had as few as 3. But recently they've made it 4 go. 3, you only get 3 on your ballot to write down, but 4 go. I think he's in really good position to make it. Which, hey, do you get the trophy at the end? No, but I think that's a hell of a accomplishment for a running back.
Oh yeah,
in this day and age.
Yeah, I mean he'll be Doak Walker, first team All-American, and then he'll be a top 10 pick, which is pretty good too. I hope that he gets to go just for the experience. Like Heisman finalist that's still a thing. I realize it's not as good as winning it, but it would be Notre Dame's first Heisman finalist since Manti Te'o. And I think the one before that might have been Rocket, because I don't think Brady Quinn was ever a Heisman finalist. So
I think he was.
I don't think he went to New York. I could be wrong.
I think he went the year McFadden went. I don't know why I'm like picturing them together in the front row.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
But I think that would be a good cap for Jeremiyah Love. And as somebody who likes watching Jeremiyah Love play football, I really hope that we get to see him play again in December and perhaps January as well.
Tiki726. Finally, someone who agrees with me and you. It's pretty clear that the committee flat out thinks that Notre Dame is a better team than Miami. They had weeks to change it. I don't see how they change their mind dramatically in the final week. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Let's go, Tiki. You're up. It's very, very rational take.
Here we go. Juan Jose Rodriguez. Adult pineapple. Sorry. I was wondering where the The sponsor is the Dole Pineapple. The Dole Pineapple, the CFP committee hates your team specifically, Invitational. Notre Dame plays a 10 to 13 seed in Hawaii annually to give you 13 data points. Everyone stops whining that ND doesn't have one. Most don't have one right now.
Yeah.
Oklahoma doesn't have one. Miami doesn't have one. Vanderbilt doesn't have one. Oregon doesn't have one.
I mean, this is why we need to have a Notre Dame Vanderbilt game this weekend. It's not too late. It's
You
only
could sponsor
Thursday.
it, the Independent Bowl.
Yeah. It can be played only by head coaches who have appeared on some version of this podcast.
Clark was everywhere this week.
Notre Dame and Vanderbilt qualifies.
Steve Blackstone again. Just have the head coaches of Bama, Notre Dame, BYU, and Miami do a home run in eating contest. First two to finish, get in CFP. I got news for you, Steven. I think Freeman finishes 4 out of 4 among those coaches in an eating contest.
BYU is going.
Yeah,
sure.
Miami's going.
Yeah, I think Bama and Notre Dame would be eliminated.
I think so too. Freeman versus DeBoer. I don't know.
Yeah, I would like. I think Freeman could gut it out more than DeBoer could.
Probably. Michael Cannon. How come every college team that doesn't like the ranking has to compare it to Notre Dame? Texas, Alabama, Miami. I don't know where Texas gets off. Thinking they deserve to have a spot. I get where Texas was going to fight for themselves, but yeah, I don't think they deserve a spot. Notre Dame's last team in right now, so that's the data point.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's weird. I mean, if I was Miami, I would completely argue against Notre Dame for obvious reasons. They won head to head. You might have heard about that, but I've sort of rejected this idea that Notre Dame and Miami is like this. It has to be one or the other. Like, why can't it be Oklahoma? Why is Alabama automatically in? Like, I don't understand that. Oklahoma in particular, because I think Oklahoma is.
I don't think they're good, but you gotta reward them.
Do you? I don't know if you do.
Wins.
Like, I think Notre Dame's good. Do they have to be rewarded? Apparently not. Miami's good.
They will be.
Why should they be rewarded or not rewarded? I don't know. I watch Oklahoma play and I'm like, good God, they're not good. I mean, it feels like bad football. So I don't want to see Oklahoma play any more football games. I think it's maybe more of my issue than whether they should be in the playoff or not. And if they're in a minor bowl game, I don't have to watch that.
Yeah, I don't think they're particularly great, but there are many ways to skin a cat, and they figured it out. Believe me, everyone was saying that about 2012 Notre Dame when they made the national title game.
Yeah.
I just think at some point the goal is to scoreboard points in the other team anyway, anyhow, and they've found ways to do that this year. You know, BYU is not a favorite of Vegas the last 2 years, and yet they have 7 outright wins as an underdog. Like, at some point, that counts for something. In the case of Kalani Sitake, a whole bunch of free crumble cookies. But like, you've got to.
I am never going to look at crumble cookie the same.
I saw one. I drove by one today, and I stopped. And it's in a strip mall that I go to all the time, and I never noticed it until.
I mean, one, they're not cheap, and they have so many calories. Do not look at their nutritional.
Literally, I sent a picture to someone, and they're like, "You don't actually like that place, do you?" And I'm like, "I've never had it." And they're like, "It's terrible." I was like, "Okay, too sugary."
It is good, but yeah, it's like their nutritional information. They're like, "Oh, it's only 200 calories in this cookie," but like a serving size for one cookie is 4.
It's like the non-fat yogurt place in Seinfeld.
Yeah, I'm not going to eat a quarter of a cookie and consider that it just was ridiculous. But anyway, good for BYU. Good for James Franklin as well. The fact that they serve crumble cookie at their recruiting
James is living his best life right now.
Yeah, that somebody else wrote this or said this, but James Franklin definitely feels like he's winning the divorce and is doing Pilates and is just in great shape right now, whereas Penn State is crying on the couch.
They need to find a way to put those two teams in a bowl against each other, even if it's in Detroit. Rajon, here we go. Rajon, okay. Brady Quinn, 3rd place, 2006. Troy Smith. I think Derek McFadden was there too. I could be wrong, but yeah, I could have sworn I've seen him sitting there. You covered that, didn't you? Would you have gone there?
No, I did not go to New York for it. Then I would have remembered it. But no, I didn't do Manti in 2012 either. Crumble cookies suck, according to J Card 2527. All right.
There's more. I don't even know what a crumble cookie is. All right, there's a lot of
Corey Dean 76. Yeah, it's like I think there's no E at the end of it. I don't know.
there's just a lot of crumble cookie comments. All right, Regine. Yep, McFadden. All right, I was right.
Okay.
There was an actual. Oh wait, no, this was what I was saying earlier. Corey Dean, 25. Oklahoma is the same as 2012 Notre Dame. Yeah, I see that. And again, I think that's what makes sports great. You can't always predict it, even if I don't necessarily want to watch it.
I think Oklahoma will make it, and then they'll upset. Who would they play in the first round? Like Texas Tech or something, or
Be Alabama again? No.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think they'd probably get crushed by Alabama.
Probably. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I'm already not looking forward to an entire offseason of like Oklahoma, why were they in discourse? But I think we're going to get an entire offseason of Oklahoma, why were they in discourse?
It's 8-9 right now, Oklahoma, Alabama. There's a chance it stays that way. But, I mean,
I still have my rooms booked in Norman, guys. Like, let's get this matchup back on.
It will not play out this way because it never plays out exactly how it looks on paper. But as I was not one of those like, oh, these games stink. Why are we doing this? But like, let's face it, the 4 first-round games were all duds on the field last year, competitively speaking. And I think we kind of expected that for most of them. I mean, Ohio State smoking Tennessee was the eye-opener as far as like, okay, they're for real now. But if it ended today, group of 5 champ or Duke
or ACC Virginia wins the ACC
Oregon
for discussion purposes.
Virginia at Oregon. Well, no, this would be then, let's say North Texas or Tulane at Oregon. Okay, whatever. ACC champ at Ole Miss, which is anything Ole Miss does right now is interesting because you literally don't know what
Virginia at Ole Miss. I'd watch that
going to happen. Notre Dame at Texas A&M and Alabama, Oklahoma. Like those are all, well, 3 of them are intriguing games.
Yeah, you're always going to have one dog of those games on paper, and then who knows? By the end of it, you might have 4. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to sort of hear what the discourse is during the game. So you remember last year after the first round, like it was like the ESPN talking heads were sort of like out to get the playoff, which I was like, what is going on here? It was strange. It didn't, for how good like the scene was at Notre Dame, and I think even the scene at Penn State and Texas,
Ohio State, but it was all in Tennessee fans.
Yeah, but it was still like an amazing environment. It seemed to be really poo-pooed by a lot of talking heads, which I didn't understand at all.
Me neither.
So hopefully whatever happens this year, once the playoff starts, that people can be like, college football is awesome. I'm going to watch it in spite of the people running the sport and just enjoy the games as they are.
All right, this is an interesting one because it's crossed my mind. Colin Connerton. Pete McHugh shed light on the politics of media blitz and why Notre Dame is not publicly pushing their own narrative. Do you think Pete Pavakwa could be doing more to defend Notre Dame? I have noticed that. Like the silence in itself is noticeable.
Conspicuous by their absence. I don't think it makes a difference. I think for the most part, it makes the politicker look like a doofus when they do it. I think Notre Dame is not eager to look ridiculous. I thought that Marcus Freeman handled it pretty well after Stanford. I thought he did a decent job during signing day on Wednesday. Just be like, hey, kind of some confusion. Like, hey, we beat Stanford. You guys, I'm not going to mention another school by name, but like, it would be great if you could explain why you dropped us. I don't feel like it makes that much of a difference, honestly.
I think it's
because if it did, like, how is Miami still 12?
Well, they were 18th before this politicking started.
Yeah, but I don't know. I want to go back.
And we're all talking about it. Like
did Miami ever move up on account of winning, or did they move up on account of somebody else losing?
Both, but like I agree with both of you. I think it does work in some cases. I think you do look like a doofus doing it more often than not.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not saying Vanderbilt deserves to be in a playoff, but Vanderbilt had the Alabama A next to its name instead of the V. Do you think there's any question we're talking about this team as a top 12 team right now? I just think that's reality, regardless of what the advanced stats say.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Clark Lee, friend of the show, when he says it is just absurd the idea that we're going to open the door to teams that play in conferences that aren't the SEC that have the same record as we have. Like that's not a great look, Clark. Like I think it diminishes the person who is lobbying more than anything. And I don't think that there's a payoff on the other side of it. Like if Miami makes it, I really don't want to read Ari Wasserman or anyone else say like, "Hey guys, we did it. We politicked Miami into the playoff." Like, because I just don't think that's going to be the reason why.
If Miami makes it, my biggest, as far as off field, my biggest question / like thing I'm most intrigued by is how Marcus Freeman will publicly handle it. Because he's not a whiner, and most football coaches are whiners. And part of what I think makes him so endearing to the fan base, to people like me and you, like I always say, there's no crying on the yacht. I think he's very well aware he's on the yacht, and he's not going to complain publicly about his job, his life, this, that, the other. So I'm curious to see what his approach would be, publicly. Is it scorched earth? What's the committee doing? Is it, hey, we'll learn from this. 10-2 is a great season. We got a great bowl game. We can't always get what you want. Yada, yada, yada. Like, I don't know.
I think it's in between those two things. Like, I think that he will be pissed and not express it publicly. And then after he's done fuming in his office, they'd be like, all right, how the hell did we go through training camp and think our defense was X when it turns out they were Y? How did we go through training camp and be like, this is our game plan for Miami just because we have a first time starting quarterback? I think there will be a lot of soul search. And that's even if Notre Dame makes the playoff, I think one of the great stories of the offseason is like, what are they doing in August? Why don't they have a better idea of who they are by the time the season starts? Because ultimately that's what's going to keep you out as much as the committee or Miami. It's the fact that you didn't know who you were against Texas A&M and you lost the game by a point. I think ultimately that's where Marcus Freeman will come down, how he presents that, because he will be fascinating to me because he's going to get some very pointed questions. I think there will be, all due respect to people in press conferences, I think there will be more whining from the questions than there will be in the answers.
That's I think it's the easiest thing in the world to be in that position and just give the fan base the red meat they want. They're out to get us, this, that. And I think a lot of these coaches, they love searching their name on Twitter, and they're very sensitive and they like to be liked. And I find that office, that should be beneath that office. And I think Marcus Freeman thinks it's beneath that office.
I agree.
And I don't think he ultimately cares about that. I think he's going to do what he thinks is ultimately best for him and his program, which is why I don't particularly love all the politicking, but I get why it happens because sometimes it is effective. I don't think if the committee got zero pushback after the first rankings of Miami being 18, do you think everyone's still talking about this the way they are? Why are we even having this discussion that Notre Dame could be out when they're already ahead of Miami and both teams have already played all their games?
Yeah, it's impossible to know, right?
Right.
Like Miami was playing really poorly when the rankings started, and now they're not. Now they're kicking the crap out of people again. So I get why you would move up and feel better about where you are as a pro. If Miami had beaten Syracuse 10-7, and they kind of beat Pittsburgh in a Notre Dame 2018 kind of way, then I think it would be pretty easy to ignore the sanctity of the head-to-head. It would be much easier to brush that aside as ridiculous. Miami's playing good football. I think Miami should be in the field. I think Notre Dame should be in the field too. But it's a game of musical chairs, and there aren't enough chairs.
I'm with you. Casey McSee earlier said, well said, Pete. NFL feels sterile and corporate compared to college. And then he tells me that yoga is working for me. LOL. Thank you. It is. I'm now going to take my private plane to Baton Rouge.
But I'm thinking about getting into yoga because, like,
I shouldn't say that loud because the last two coaches who were changed by yoga are Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly. And as we know, neither of them really changed that much, and they both went to LSU.
Yeah, I don't know. Good point. Maybe I'll do Pilates instead.
AJM, Matt has said so many times that Texas Tech is going to win that I'm now convinced BYU will win. Sorry. Fair enough. But on the other side of that, yeah, a lot of more.
Yeah, I think it's like, is it better for BYU to get torn limb from limb or lose a close game?
Wait, you're asking me, or
I'm asking you?
Wait, say that again. Is it better for Do
you want Texas Tech to blow out BYU if you're Notre Dame, or do you want Texas Tech to win in a close game?
You want Texas
close game meaning like maybe BYU doesn't drop and then there's.
If you're Notre Dame, you want Texas Tech to blow them out, but
okay.
Well, I don't know what. To me, there's no argument. No.
Well, I'm just saying if it was a close game, let's say Texas Tech won 14-13, BYU maybe stays at 11, which means Miami stays at 12.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, now I'm guilty of this like overthink garbage.
But we all do it, and it's fine. And this is why I think they need to keep the show, because it's entertainment value and content value for all of us. But all these scenarios we've thrown out and all this, like, if this happens and this happens, I just don't think those people are thinking that way. The people who ultimately,
I don't know if they're thinking at all.
Exactly. Like the whole, like, well, they gave themselves an out here to drop Notre Dame by putting Alabama above, because when BYU loses, then Notre Dame will be next to Miami. And then they could put no, like, I don't know. Like, these are not that intelligent people. And I don't mean that insultingly. Like, you've heard them talk. They're got fancy jobs and big salaries, but it doesn't mean they're really, really that smart. And for all of them to like collaboratively come together and decide this is what we're doing. Also, that's why, like, I love conspiracy theories. I just never buy them because it takes, it would take a lot of savvy moves by a lot of not savvy people for that to be pulled off.
I think we should get have Ivan Mazel, former podcast guest.
If he's allowed, he absolutely
just
should
do it. Like, man, that would be the ultimate independent bump if like Ivan Mazel's like, you know what, I'm going to be the deciding vote. Notre Dame's in ahead of Miami.
He's not. He's partially recused. Remember?
Yeah.
The independent bump would have been if they made him the chair when Mac Rhodes resigned, which I think, I mean, I don't think he wanted it, but I'm like, media guy, like, not a former coach. It's actually kind of makes too much sense. He could get there and explain it to all of us and doesn't have any hidden biases.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. So, all right. Well, you want to, should we plan ahead on a Sunday show at noon?
Sunday, yes, no matter what.
Okay. We'll go live at noon and then just
I think we go live,
kind of simulcast it with the rankings and react and laugh at all the nonsense that's being spewed on ESPN and other places at the time.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Let's do it.
Listen to our nonsense instead.
Yeah, much better nonsense. I mean, you can have a home run and pizza too. We should definitely, it's lunchtime. We could house an entire home run and pizza while we're waiting for them to announce the brackets after the show comes on at noon.
Can't wait.
I like it. All right. Well, until Sunday, he's Matt. I'm Pete. Thanks for being with us on this latest episode of The Independent.